Hello, I'm Seth Johnson with Land to House. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to build a trough to put into your road that will help to prevent road erosion. So let's start off by going over the parts list for all the materials we need to start this project. First of all, we'll start with the wood. This is both treated lumber. I've got 4 2x4 by 8 foot long boards, and I have 2 2x6 by 8 foot boards. They're treated, so they're going to be outdoors and in ground contact. Now, for the hardware, I have got 6 6-inch long bolts, and these are 3/8 in size. I've got the nuts to go with those, and then I've got 24 3/8 inch washers, and then lastly I've got a 2.5 inch long 1/2 inch pipe, and I've got 6 of those. Now for the tools needed, I've got a drill, I've got a circular saw, tape measure, pencil, gloves. Here I've got 3-inch exterior wood screws, got a carpenter's square, have some tools to tighten down the nuts and bolts, and then I've got a mattock. This is to dig the hole or the trench for this to be inserted. Now if you've got a friend, that would be helpful, or if you have some heavy equipment to make this job much easier. The first step is to use the tape measure, and we're going to make some marks on our board. This is the 2x4, 8 foot long. The first is going to be at 1 foot. Next we're going to skip 2 feet over at 3 feet. I'm going to skip 2 feet again at 5 feet. And then once again at the end of the board we're going to mark 1 foot away from the edge. Next I'm going to come back with my carpenter's square and place this on the edge of the board, and I'm just going to make a line here at the 3-inch mark. So where these two come together is where we're going to drill our hole. I'm using a 1/2 inch drill bit, and I'm just going to meet up where these two lines are and drill through here. Once you feel it start popping through the backside, you can turn over and finish the hole, and it will make a smooth piece there. Now my road only needs a 12-foot trough, and together these would equal 16. So I'm going to take my tape measure and measure out 4 foot on each one of these boards, and I'm going to cut these down to the size that I need. Now your size may be different depending on your own road. Now when using the circular saw, I highly recommend safety goggles and ear protection, which I'm putting on now. Now to aid in your cuts, you can use a speed square, place it on the board, and then with your circular saw, you can use this to line up your cut. So right here, and that will aid in your cut. Now we have an 8 foot and a 4 foot section of 2x4s to total of 12 feet. So you're going to need your nut and bolt, 2 washers, and a pipe. Because the screw is 6-inch, it's not going to be long enough to have all 4 washers in there. So first of all, put a washer on your bolt, go through a hole, put your 2.5 inch pipe on, then stick your other 2x4, then place a washer, and then lastly, your nut. And we're going to move to the next one before tightening these too tight here. Once you have all of your hardware installed, take your tightening tools of choice and make sure that each of these is snug so that it won't be coming out anytime soon. Now, after you've installed all of the pipes, you want to make sure that the two pieces will butt up together, and in this case they don't. So what I like to do is use a carpenter square or a speed square. The shorter leg, you're going to put the end of your square here and then transfer a line across to the long leg, and we'll be cutting that off. So do that on both of the uneven legs. Okay, and now you can transfer that line down the side here, and then use your circular saw to cut that line. Now lay out the finished components, alternating the long and the short pieces so that the short piece of one is on the long of the other. Now that that's done, you're going to take your components and you're going to place the 2x6 on top of the other, and this is where we're going to be using those outdoor wood screws to put these components together. I'm going to make sure this board is lined up appropriately, and then use some of my screws here to install this on these two pieces together. Once all the screws have been installed, the basic construction is done. Now the hard part comes, and that is having to dig the trough to put this down in the road. Now once you have your trough put in the position you want, it can be helpful to use a level to make sure that there's always a downhill slope, so all the water will fall into the trough and head toward the ditch. Now I'm going to take my mattock here and I'm going to score the ground where I want to build my trench, and then I'm going to start digging. So a couple thousand swings of the mattock later, I've got this trench deep enough to put in our wooden trough. It's about 8 inches from the top here to the bottom. So I'm going to swing this in. And we're going to level this up as best we can. Now be sure to use your level again to make sure that the water is going to drain out and away. And it is, so we're good to go. So now it's just a matter of backfilling the gravel into the side where we've just pulled it from. The gravel has been successfully filled back in on each side, So the last step now is to make a trench for the water to go into to hit the ditch over here. I'm just going to pull a little of this dirt back to make a trench over here that heads off toward the ditch. Our wooden erosion trough has been built and installed. So a few things to remember. Use treated lumber or it will rot very quickly. Be sure to put washers on the outside to prevent your car from collapsing those nuts and bolts. Hey, Wally. Also, if you'll stagger smaller pieces with larger pieces, it'll help hold them together. Be sure to use exterior screws, not interior, because they will rust quickly. And if you have a friend, be sure to have them help to dig your trough, or have some heavy machinery, because it'll make it a lot faster. This total project took me somewhere around 3 hours from start to finish, and 2 hours of that was just digging the trench, so it takes a while. Thanks for watching, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hey, Wally.